ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादी नगेन्द्रसङ्गपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। ब्रह्माहं यत्प्रसादेन मयि विश्वं प्रकल्पितं श्रीमत्स्वयं प्रकाशाख्यं प्रणौमि जगताम्। यः परमात्मा जगत्सृष्ट्वा प्रविवेश पुनः स्वयं तं कृष्णं प्रत्यगात्मानं वन्दे गोपीमनोहरम्। यस्य प्रसादादहमद्वयात्मा विश्वं समस्तं मयि कल्पितं च तं सर्वलोकैकगुरुं सदाश्री स्वयं प्रकाशं गुरुमानतोऽस्मि। गुरूणां चरणां भोजं प्रणिपत्य निरन्तरं तत्कृपालेशतो त्वरित चिन्तास्तु ममारभे। Now, in order that we understand the importance of contemplating on the oneness of individuality and totality, and this oneness of individuality and totality, which now is the subject matter of your contemplation, this whole process is called as upasana. So, by allowing the mind to appreciate, to stay absorbed where the individuality is immersed in the totality, like the immersion of an idol which is done in the ocean or in the river. Like that, this Vishwa, which is the individuality that one holds through the identification with the gross body, then is immersed with the totality of the gross world, the consciousness conditioned by the totality of the gross world, which is called as Vaishvana. And in understanding this oneness of the Vishwa and Vaishvanara, are you able to keep those words well in mind? Vishwa is individuality. Consciousness conditioned by individuality is Vishwa. Consciousness conditioned by the totality of the gross world is called as Vaishvanara. Consciousness conditioned by the individual subtle body is called as Taijasa. And consciousness conditioned by the total subtle body is called as Hiranyagarbha, Prana or Sutratma. We have seen up to this point. Okay? Then let us We are on page number 95 of the physical copy. सामान्य द्रव्यादि विशेषयोः तादात्म्यं समवायस्य पूर्वमेव निराकृतत्वात्. Now he wants to show you that there is a tadatmyam between the individual and the total. Okay. But before this tadatmyam can be proclaimed, there is a claim that this cannot be tadatmyam. It will be again called as samavaya. This claim of the Vaisheshikas has already been refuted before. So exactly like what it is between the general and specific, samanya dravyadi visheshayoho tadatmyam. Samanya means the general and vishesha is the specific. Just as between the general and the specific, there is tadatmyam. Exactly like that, tatha vyashti sthula sharirasya samashti sthula sharirantargat panchikita bhutakalyattvena upadana upadeya bhava sambhavat tayoho tadatmyat tad upahitayoho api vishva vaishvanarayoho tadatmyam. This sentence is this long. But all that it contains is, it wants to show you that this Vyashti Sthula Sharira. Vyashti means the individual gross body. That what you identify with a specific name, specific nationality, gender, age, height, weight, so on and so forth. The specific is specific. So this, when you are going to say the gross body, it means the specific gross body. Now, what happens to this? This specific body is a part of the total gross world. This total gross world, solar system, and the numerous innumerable cosmoses, because they are all physical. So this is the physical body, the gross body. Okay. So Vyashti Sthula Sharirasya Samasthula Sharirantagata Panchikita Bhuta Karyatvena. So now this particular gross body has emerged from the same elements of this gross world. And what are those elements? These are the 5 elements which have undergone the process of grossification, and thus the body that is available to us is a construct out of these, is constructed from this these grossified 5 elements. Okay. Samashti sthula sharirantargata panchikita bhutakaryattvena upadana upadeya bhava sambhava. Thus now we can say that the samashti sthula, pay attention, samashti sthula means the total gross world is the karanam, is the material cause. And from this material, the individual gross body is formulated, comes into existence, and therefore this individual gross body is the effect, the material effect. So how are we going to say it technically? That the total gross body is now upadanam, the material. And then this individual gross body, which is an effect, is called as upadeya. You understand that? Upadanam, upadeyam. Okay? Keep that in mind. Is upadeyam. this relationship is possible, and therefore now we can say with confidence that between the individual gross body and the total gross body. Now, what do we mean by total gross body? This entire cosmos is the body of God. Okay, so this there is tadapyam. Just as there is tadapyam possible between the conditionings, the consciousness which is conditioned by these two also then has tadapyam. The consciousness conditioned by the individual gross body is called as Vishwa. The consciousness conditioned by the total gross body is Vaishvana. Now, we are not talking about just the consciousness, pure consciousness. We are talking about specific consciousness. Okay? Consciousness conditioned by this individual gross body, Vishwa. Consciousness conditioned by the total gross body, Vaishvanara. Between the Vishwa and Vaishvanara, there is Tadapyam. And one should meditate about this Tadapyam. Okay? Evam anayoho bheda bheda sambhavad. Thus, at this point, where teachers like Moshe, etc., are adamant on saying that the Jiva is the part of Brahman. Jiva is the part of Ishvara. Now, when he is saying he is just at this point, which is a form of upasana, okay? But really speaking, the Upanishad is not satisfied only in delivering you this form of prayer. Upanishad goes further to show that this consciousness, because it is conditioned, it may appear as individual and total, but really speaking, this consciousness is untouched by the conditioning, because this conditioning is only an appearance. It is only an appearance. And therefore, in knowing this is what is the nature of consciousness, unconditioned, unlimited one, now this realization sets him free. Is then he, such a person who realizes this, is liberated, for which the Upanishad now is coming forth. So only to say that you are a part of this total whole world is not the very purpose of Upanishad. The purpose is to show the true nature of consciousness as non-dual reality. Whereas over here, when people are thinking about oneness between Paramatma and Jiva, between God and the individual, they are just looking at this upasana. Between either it is between Taijasa and Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha, or it can be between these Vishwa and Vaishvana. Okay, understand that. Evam anayoho bheda sambhavat abhedam abhedamsham adaya ahamev Vaishvanarosmi. Sakshakarena tad anantavaptehe sambhavat. There is a typo over here. Tat sakshatkarena. There should be tat sakshatkarena. Okay. Sarita, do you have the system copy with you?
Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji.
After I am asking, saying that this is what typo or any mistake, Just note it down over there and there.
Yes,
Okay?
Swamiji. I
Okay.
have noted it down, Swamiji.
Okay.
Yes, Swamiji.
Thank you. Okay. So now, how is upasana done? How is this upasana done? So, see, this is an upasana, this is a form of meditation. And it is very important to understand what form of meditation this is. And by that meditation, we mean a committed practice, which which becomes a part of the individual's life, an integral part, not a fad, but like something like the person takes bath every day. It's compulsory, like that. There may be some people who don't take bath every day, but really, it is said Puja Gurudev also was given to that practice of Trishavanam. Trishavanam means one should take bath thrice a day in all the three Sandhya period. Trishavanam, and it is especially meant for that Shaucha. This Shauchachara is meant for sannyasi. There is very lot of very interesting Shauchachara. Those who want to follow it, they should see some Smriti Grantha. All right. So let us look at this Upasana part. How is this Upasana done? Anayoho Bheda Bheda Sambhavat. Therefore, what is there? Bheda and Abheda is possible between Vishwa and Vaishvanara. Bheda Bheda means there is and there is some oneness. Okay. There is a kind of difference and there is one kind of oneness. Is there? So he says, Abhedam Amsham Adaya. Now, this Upasaka, the meditator, he chooses to look at the part where there is no difference between Vishwa and Vaishvanara. Okay. What does he chooses to look at? Discover the part which shows there is no difference between Vishwa and Vaishvanara. Then what happens? Tam abhedamam shamadaya ahmeva Vaishvanara. And so now he sees what discovers ahameva Vaishvanara. I am Vaishvanara. I am Vaishvanara. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashitaha Pranapranasamayam Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. I am that Vaishvanara situated, dwelling in the bodies of all the beings. Okay? In all the living beings, prani, because he is doing the pranana kriya. There is pranana kriya, that's why he is prani. He is breathing. He is a living organism. So that Vaishvanara, I am that Vaishvanara residing in every, dwelling in every being. Ahameva Vaishvanara. This is what is his experience. So the meditation has to allow you to see this as a fact. Presently, what do you see? That I am the individual seated in this one body. But this upasana, when it becomes denser and denser, then even they experience that I am this Vaishvanara, living in every person, every animal, every insect, every bird. I am present in all these beings. Ahameva Vaishvanaraha. So he sees it that way. So this meditator, what does he discover? That I am seated even in a caterpillar. I am the one who's seated in a bird which is eating that caterpillar. I am the one in even in the blade of grass. I am this Vaishvana consciousness present in all the gross bodies, in the totality. So that is what I am. Abhedavam shamadaya ahameva vaishwanaraha asmi iti abheda upasanaya tat sakshatkarena. And he continues to do that upasana. As a result of that upasana, he realizes as if some shell breaks and he discovers truly I am this. And so this is called that, then that is sakshatkar. He knows it directly. He doesn't have to think, oh, I am Vaishvana. No, what is Vaishvana? I am that. I am that. So that sakshatkar. This is still upasana. We have not yet gone into knowledge. So this is still upasana. And even you can realize, you can understand what must be the state of mind of such an upasaka. Okay? Such a yogi, such an upasaka who is contemplating, meditating upon his oneness with Vaishwanara. And when he realizes that oneness, Ahameva, I am everything, discovers I am everything. I am in everything. Okay. That sakshatkarena, when this realization happens, then anandavaptehe sambhavat. Therefore, now there is total anandam of the gross world which is available to him. Okay? The total sukham of this gross world becomes at once available to him because he is in every body. Avaptehe sambhavat tajnanam saprayojanam iti bhavaha. Then why are you telling us this? Because for you to understand this knowledge of oneness between the Vishwa and Vaishwanara is important because it finally delivers to you what you are desiring, and that is Sukham. It gives you Tadana Tadananda Vaptehe Sambhavat Tajnanam, and therefore now we can say this knowledge is purposeful knowledge, meaningful knowledge, because it is Saprayojanam iti bhava. It is Saprayojanam. Athava श्रुत्युक्त प्रकारेण विश्ववैश्वानर तैजस सूत्रात्मप्राशेश्वरात् ज्ञात्वा प्रथमं विश्वं वैश्वानर नरात्मत्वेन अहमेव वैश्वानरोऽस्मि इति विभाव्य ततः तैजसं सूत्रात्मत्वेन अहमेव सूत्रात्मास्मि इति विभाव्य अनन्तरं प्राज्ञमीश्वरात्मत्वेन अहमेव ईश्वरोऽस्मि इति विभाव्य अनंतरम समष्टि व्यष्टि सूक्ष्म का समष्टि व्यष्टि स्थूल सूक्ष्म कारणोपाधि क्रम उपाधि कारणोपाधि तमोंकारवाच्यम परब्रह्म हमस्मीति सर्वात्मत्वेन विभाव्य पश्चात् मनसा एकाग्रतामापन्ने सति सर्वं जगत् स्थूल सूक्ष्मादिक्रमेण निर्विशेष चिन्मात्रेण अखण्डेकरसानन्दे परब्रह्मणि विलाप्य तदनन्तरमेकाग्रेण मनसा स्वस्य ब्रह्मानन्दात्मकां साक्षात् कुर्यात् इति अभिप्रायेण समष्टि व्यष्ट्यो तादात्म निरूपणेन तदुपहितयोः तादात्म निरूपणं कृतम्. So now, why are we allowed to have this knowledge, or why was this knowledge given to us about the samashti and vyashti? Whether that samashti is about samashti vyashti is about the gross sthula deha, or it is about the sukshma deha, or the samashti vyashti that we are going to talk is about the karana deha, okay, the causal body. Wherever in the gross body, it will be Vishwa and Vaishwanara. In the subtle body, the oneness is between Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha. And the causal state, the oneness is in Prajna and Ishvara. Over here, by understanding the oneness of the conditionings and therefore the oneness of the conditioned expressions of consciousness, what happens now? It prepares you for the final leap. What happens? It prepares you for the quantum leap, the final leap. What is that? It is anantaram samashti vyashti sthula sukshma karanopati karanopati tamomkaravacham. Now, by this sequence, Om, and this sequence reveals to you the meaning of word Om. Reveals to us what? It reveals to us the meaning of word Om. Omkaravacham parabrahmahamasmiti sarvatmatvena vibhavya. Thus, I am that Parmeshwara. He understands, and so he has sarvatma bhav, and therefore I am this of all, just this human body, but I am the self of everything, everyone, whether it is insignificant amoeba unicellular organism, or it is the most important Chaturmukha Brahma, whatever it may be, I am everything. I am in all. And he finds that out that way. So this is actually the whole process of meditation, upasana that he has given. Okay. Pashchan manasa ekagratam apanneti. And when this becomes, when one is able to stay absorbed in this state, then sarvam सूक्ष्मादिक्रमेण निर्विशेषचिन्मात्रेण अखण्डेकरसानन्दे ब्रह्मणि विलाप्य. Then the world, which is in the form of the Karana Sharira, the Sukshma Sharira, and the Sthula Sharira. Now, it is the Sthula Sharira, the gross body, is dissolved into the subtle body. The subtle body is dissolved into the causal body, and therefore vilapya tadanantaram ekagrena, and still retaining that state of absorption, manasa swasya khandekara sabrahmanandatmatam sakshat kuryat. Thus the person should realize by his own mind what? The infinite joy that I am. The infinite joy that I am. Sakshat kuryat. Idya viprayena samashti vyastyoho tadatmya nirupanena tad upahitayoho Tadatma Nirupanam Tam. Just wanting to explain the Tadapyam between Sthula and Samashti and Vyashti. We have actually explained to you the oneness between the conditioned expressions of consciousness. Nirupanam kritam taduktam samadhikala pragevam vichintyati prayatah sarvam chidatmani vilayet. This is very beautiful. Samadhikala pragevam. Now, if before one gets absorbed in the samadhi, contemplate on what? Atiprayatnataha. With total energy, with your total, absolutely do not reserve anything. Just fling yourself carelessly in this contemplation of oneness between the individual and total. Then what happens? Samadhi kala tagivam vichintyati prayatnataha sthula sukshma kramat sarvam. Then through the proper sequence. And what is the sequence? That the sthula, the gross body, is merged into the total gross body. The Vishwa is merged in Vaishwanara. Then the subtle body, the individual subtle body is merged with the total subtle body. And then, like that, Sthula Sukshma Kramat Sarvam Chidat Vilapayen, as finally the Vishwa Vaishwanara, like that, even there, the Taijasa Hiranyagarbha, Prajna and Ishvara, all these things are dissolved in pure consciousness. Pure consciousness. Kalpatarvacharya apyuktam. Kalpatarvacharya is Apayadiksha. Kalpatarvacharya apyuktam. Nirvishesham param brahma. Sakshat Vartum Manishvaraha Ye Mandastin Kampyante Savisheshan Panihim Vashikte Manasyesham Saguna Prakshalinat Tadeva Pir Avir Bhavet Sakshat Apet Bhogat Kalpanam. Thus, he says that this is how the contemplation has to follow this sequence. And Tadeva Avir Bhavet Sakshat. Then the consciousness without any conditionings becomes manifest by itself. Apeta Upadhi Kalpanam. Devoid of all the conditionings. There is one discovers his own being. Ekaiva jivo jagrata avasthayam sthula sukshma karanad karana avidyabhimani san vishva uchte. Now there is furthermore it will take us, but I'm going to stop over here, just completing the last portion of the 33rd line. Etat abhipraya shrutirapi esh sarveshu bhuteshu bodhotman prakaste drishyate tadaya vidya sukshmaya sukshmadarshini iti. Tatha taska is tasma. It is tasmat, not taskat. Tasmad Vaishvanaradi Artvat Ityartha. Therefore, knowing Vishwa Vaishvanara, etc., all this has a meaning. It has got a meaning. So, for a few days, we may have to have, the class done a little shorter, but we will not discontinue having the class. So let that be clear. The days that therefore it may not be very, very precise, like 45 minutes or 30 minutes or 1 hour. As much as I can do, we will, but we will keep the continuity as much as possible without breaking. Okay, that is more important. So now you can sit for a while and contemplate on the oneness of Vishwa and Vaishvanara, and also on the oneness of Taijasa and Sundatma. When you do this, this will become your upasana. And this contemplation has to continue till you actually discover this is how I am. And then you will also find that, that I am in every tree, in every plant, every animal, every being. This whole world is nothing but my expression of love for all. And therefore, this person will have boundless love for all. For us, it will be as if he is loving people, but for him, there is no word. For him, he